When I recruited who?
Grant Haley.
Just about the whole process recruiting Grant?
Yes.
Grant had come to one of our camps. Grant was a guy that we identified, went to a really good private school outside of Atlanta. Impacted the game on offense. He impacted the game on defense. He was a big-time return specialist as well. Had really, really good grades. Wasn't in the beginning interested in us. Kind of built a relationship with the family. It was interesting because mom and dad were looking for one thing. The kid was kind of looking for the football. Parents were really focused on the academics. They're both doctors. The kid wanted football and academics, but football was a real priority for him. And then it was interesting when we came here and he came and visited. He wasn't initially really interested, but once he came and visited, he loved it. And then he was able to have the big-time football experience that he was looking for with the relationship he already had with the coaches. And the mom was obviously, being a Penn State grad, she was in. But just a great kid, great family, really high goals and aspirations of what he wanted to do and where he wanted to go, and it worked out really, really well.
James, you guys only have one touchdown drive over 4 minutes this year. Is that a concern for you, and how can you guys be a little bit more methodical, maybe help your defense out a little bit more, eat up some more time?
I think it's the things that we've talked about. It's cleaning up the penalties that create long yardage situations for the offense. It's making more plays. I think, it's funny because you talk about being more methodical, but I actually think we have to do the opposite. I think we need to be more aggressive at times. It's kind of what I've said before to you guys. I think a lot of times when things aren't going well on offense, everything you're doing is about trying to get to a manageable third down situation, but that actually can come back and haunt you because you're too conservative. Now the underneath passing game, they're sitting on those routes and things like that. So you got to take your shots. You got to be able to mix them in, whether it's second down and manageable or whether it's first down and manageable. First down, knowing back you better come back on second down with a play that's going to get you back to a third down and manageable. So we're going to need to do that moving forward.
Coach, we saw Saquon out here today. Did he receive any reps at practice today, and if so, how did he look?
Yes, yeah, he received reps at practice. He looked awesome. Yeah, he's kind of still working through it. No determination has been made yet, but he did take reps at practice. He looked good, but we'll see.
Thanks.
James, you've always been.
Go ahead.
On the defensive side of things, you clearly without some guys last week. You get a sense yet? Are you more hopeful about them maybe being back? And how much better are you guys with some of the kids out than when they are back, the Bells and the Allen?
Yeah, I think having Marcus Allen and Jordan Lucas and Brandon Bell back would be significant for us. I don't think there's any doubt about that. We're hopeful. Every morning at 7 a.m. we have a staff meeting and sit down with the trainers, and they kind of go through. A lot of it deals with when you practice today, how do they react? Do they go in and their body didn't react well to the practice, and the next day they've had a setback? They're the things that you're kind of looking for. And then obviously we're kind of taking it step by step. So what they do on a Tuesday and what they do on a Wednesday, you don't want to do too much when you come back and then they're not able to do anything the next day. So it's kind of a step by step process that our trainers and doctors take us through.
You've always been a positive guy.
As much as you hate it, as much as it kills you.
No, I love the positivity. I'm curious, where that came from. Denny Dowds is a really positive guy. Was that really at East Stroudsburg where you kind of picked up on that, or in a sense where you just always kind of the positive person?
I don't know. I don't think it's something probably you learn in college. That's probably kind of partly who I've been my whole life. I've never lacked for energy or enthusiasm. Got an undergraduate degree in psychology. I don't know if walking around being negative and talking negative and thinking negative, if that helps anybody. Those things probably been a part of it. Denny Dowds, probably a part of it. Positive coaches I've worked with, negative coaches that I've worked with. Learned why I would do things a certain way and why I would do things probably different. Not that it's wrong or right, but just different. So I think it's a combination of all those things, but it probably started at an early age with my mom and my family.
Kind of going off of that, when you're building a program, there's sort of two facts that go very opposite of each other. It takes a long time to get from point A to point B, but you only have 13 games, 12 games a year to show that you're getting from point A to point B. What is that challenge like? You talked a little bit about it on Tuesday, but just sort of dealing with those two factors at once.
I'm sorry, say that again. I apologize.
Like, it takes a long time to build a football program, but you only get a few games a year to really show that you're making that progress. Is that difficult to kind of...
Yeah, I think it is. I think, I think all coaches would love to have a preseason, if possible, to help with that. I don't think that's ever going to happen. This is a sport that you work extremely hard year-round and then only get a handful of opportunities, not like baseball and basketball. So yeah, that creates some challenges, but that's not going to change. So what we just have to do is embrace the model that we have right now. And I'm going to notice, and we're going to notice things when we watch. We'll leave here, we'll go up, the dinners will be waiting for us. We grab dinner, we sit down and watch the tape for 3 hours and go through every single drill and every single play. And we're going to notice some progress in some areas that may or may not show up on a Saturday. But the more that it shows up on a Sunday through Friday, the more often it shows up on a Sunday through Friday, the more it will start showing up on Saturdays. That's been kind of my history with it. But yeah, I think, you just got to embrace the model that you have right now, and you got to find a way to get better every single day. And I think we're doing that. I think, you guys got to watch a little bit there at the end of practice. Our offensive line is forced to get better in practice every single day because our scout defensive line is so much better than it was last year. Same thing on the other side of the field. It should be a really adversarial relationship, in my opinion, on the practice field between the scout team and the offense or defense. I mean, it should be adversarial, and there should be respect there. But they should really kind of hate each other on the field because they're challenging each other to get better. The young guys are trying to show the coaches that they can play, and the old guys are forced to get better every single day in practice by those guys going after them. So the great ones that I've seen, that's what they've done. That's what they've done. They've challenged themselves to get better every single day. So I like that. I like that.
You talked yesterday about you set up your offense to manage the limitations that you have. Some people have called that winning ugly with a couple of the games you've played so far. But is that something that you would want your team identity to be, even if it is winning ugly, that you win,
Yeah, I would like our identity to be winning. I don't know if I want our identity to be ugly. We are in the entertainment business as well. It's sports and it's college athletics, but it's also entertainment. So you don't want it to be ugly long term. I don't want to be ugly long term. The team doesn't want to be ugly long term. So yeah, we would like to get to a point where it's more exciting. It's sexier is a word that I use sometimes. You guys laugh at, but you get to that. But right now, the most important thing is winning, and then those things evolving over time. Trust me, those wideouts and the quarterbacks and the DBs and everybody, they all want that, and so do we.
It's not sure if you put a percentage on it, but how much of the playbook would you say has been installed on offense and been installed at this point of the season, and how does the youth of the roster affect how fast it's installed in packages and packages?
It's really, to be honest with you, the playbook is pretty much what it is. What happens is your creativity each week is kind of what expands. That you say, okay, this guy's got this skill set, we're going to build on that. Or this guy's got this skill set, we're going to build on that. Still within the framework of the offense, but that's really kind of, you have your offense, and then your creativity is what kind of expands it each week, and you do different things.
Do you expand it as much as you'd like to?
No.
In an ideal situation?
No. I mean, yeah, I think that's obvious to everybody. We'd like to do a lot more things. And if you look at our history, we've done a lot more things. But right now the most important thing is getting good at something and create an identity. And the thing that we decided to do after game one, that was going to be running the ball, being physical, coming off the ball. Because the more you can beat people up on first and second down, the less of pass rushers there are going to be on third down. And early on in the season, we weren't coming off the ball. So that's something I thought was important for us to do, is that get some identity first, which is being physical and having a blue-collar Penn State mentality.
You mentioned the college football preseason. I think it's the first I've heard you mention that. What does that look like for you ideally to do something like that?
Oh yeah, I'm not standing up on a podium trying to get them to change the
I'm not
model.
asking you to.
But you'd love to have an NFL type deal where, maybe you have a couple games that you schedule regional teams, whether it's during the spring, you don't have a spring game, you actually go against a team, from the region, whether it's a Villanova or whether it's a Delaware or something like that. And you do a controlled scrimmage against those guys, and then maybe you do something in the preseason like that as well, but a controlled type environment, so they're not at risk and we're not at risk as well, but you're still able to go against somebody else. I think that would be valuable.
You mentioned you have a CEO mentality and you're a big picture thinker. Were you expecting to get this many big picture questions 5 games into your second season here?
Yeah, probably not before I took the job, but as things have played out this way, yeah, because people want to know the direction of the program and where we see it going long term. And I think what happens with fans and media, sometimes you look at one single game and you say, well, how they play today, I'm going to try to forecast how that means they're going to play next week and the rest of the season. And I think coaches, we do that as well, but we see so many more things. We see kind of the culture in the locker room and what's going on in the meeting rooms and how things are kind of evolving. So we see more of those things. So yeah, I think the way we've played, yeah, there's going to be those big picture questions because people are trying to find out where we're going, and maybe it's things that they can't necessarily see from a stat sheet or from a game in the rain.
If you were to put yourself into perspective of the outside looking in, what would be the defining game then this season? Because the fans are taking it game by game, not looking big picture as much. Which I'm not putting words in your mouth, but just that's what it seems like. What would be the defining game?
For me,
Yeah.
defining game is this Saturday. Oh, this one is big. Yeah, this one this Saturday is big. Next week, that one will be big. So I don't know. I don't look like that defining games. I think about an opportunity to get better and win this week. That's for you guys to have those awesome discussions about what's defining and what's not. I want to win Saturday. Pretty, ugly, nasty, sexy, exciting win. However way we got to do it.